Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Perspective, a show where we tackle paranormal and supernatural claims, belief in aliens, conspiracy theories, and any claim you want to bring us. I'm one of your hosts of the evening, Ethan, and alongside me is Secular Rarity. How you doing, man?
I'm great. I'm really excited to be back, man.
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Well, because we took a break, and then this is your first time back on after the break.
Yeah, it was good. You needed that break, man. You were working a lot, and it is always good to take that. But I bet there's already a bunch of people out there even just saying, "Man, we're glad you're back." Last week's episode was a wonderful way to come back. So we've got to top that somehow. I don't know.
I hope so. We don't have many calls in the queue right now. So if you do have a paranormal claim, if you have a ghost story, if you think you can prove aliens exist, or if you think you can prove that God exists, give us a call, 951-364-2430. Also, if you know somebody that believes any of these things and you want us to talk to them, hey, encourage them to call the show. As you can see, we're usually always friendly and we have a fun back and forth conversation. Originally tonight, Kenneth Leonard was going to be on. I am replacing him. I know I'm not as good as a replacement as Kenneth Leonard, but it's what you're stuck with tonight. So thank you for your patience.
It's canon now. You've already said it. It's recorded. It is quoted. Ethan Micheal is replacing Kenneth Leonard. Done. I mean, that's where we are, folks.
Filling Kenneth's shoes is damn near impossible. That's for sure.
What size shoe does he wear? Do you know? No, we'll talk after. Sorry,
dude. He's a pretty jacked dude. Like when I first met him, he's like, we're like about the same height, but he's definitely got significant muscle mass on me.
That's okay. You got really pretty eyes, man. I don't know if Kenneth has that.
Thanks.
So we could just do this the whole time. Do you think other people would enjoy that as much as we are?
People would find this entertaining. But you know what? If we don't get any more calls, we're gonna be doing this the whole time. So hey, encourage people to call the show.
Easy.
Let me see if our first call is called. Yeah, our first caller is ready to go. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. We have someone that wants to come on with a UFO experience, which resulted in a possible disturbing dream or abduction. Josh, you are on with Secular Rarity and Ethan. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you all?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Pretty good.
So my experience goes back to 2017. It's been quite a while, but it's been in my mind ever since. So it's really hard for me to just forget about for obvious reasons, but we'll get to that here in a second. So 2017, it was right after Christmas. I was in between careers, so definitely was, just working extra hours just for the money for holidays. But so what was going on was I was working at a department store, a big department store for the holidays, and it was the Thursday after Christmas. And it's probably about midnight, and it's a Thursday, so there aren't a lot of people out. But I noticed when I was driving home that I didn't see a single car on the highway, and this is a pretty common highway, so I was a little on edge, just a little confused as to why I wasn't seeing any. But again, it wasn't a big deal. I was just driving home. So I get to my exit, I get to the light, I'm stopped, and right above the traffic light, I see a green dot, and it's just stationary, floating in the sky, probably 800 feet up. So I'm sitting there going, oh, it's probably just a drone. It's a green light. It's not blinking. So I was thinking if it was a plane, it would be moving and then, periodically blinking, but it's just a green dot stationary in the sky right above the light, pretty far away.
Okay.
And, I'm sitting at the light, and at this point I'm like, okay, it's a drone, but let's test it. I stared at it, and in my thoughts, because I've always heard that, UFOs can understand telekinesis or telepathy, sorry. So in my mind, I simply said, if you're a UFO, show me what your craft can do. And as soon as I made those thoughts, it started to move.
Wait, can I
You know,
jump in just for a second, real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I feel like I may have missed something. You said you just thought these things to them, and because
Yeah,
you
so
knew
like
that they had telekinesis, or
telepathy.
yeah,
Yeah,
telepathy. What?
yeah, so well, telepathy in my research, I've been researching ever since, but a lot of alien races, especially ones with, you know, the ability to use the entire mind, like humans, unfortunately, are limited. But telepathy is one of those powers, being able to communicate without actually speaking
But
or,
just
having the ability to speak their language.
just to be clear, you're saying you knew that at the time of this interaction. This wasn't something you discovered
Yeah,
later. Okay. Yeah,
right.
go ahead. I just wanted to make
Yeah,
I just wanted to
sorry.
make sure
Yeah,
that
so
I had that right. Okay.
yeah, no, it was something I've been researching since probably college. So this was,
Okay.
4 years after college. So um, after I say that, now that I think about it, 2017, yeah, about 4 years after college. Um, so in my head, I was simply saying like, okay, if you're a UFO, show me what your craft can do, because I was kind of like just I really didn't think it was going to work. I was just like,
Okay.
this isn't going to matter, so I'll try it. Um, and so what happens is it starts to just drop. And I mean, it started to make me think it's just a drone. And then it did some things that really weren't drone like. I mean, it showed me its basic map, like the way it moves up, down, left, right, whenever it wanted to. After about 30 seconds of that, it started to do like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was like there were lines, and it was as if it was like traveling between spaces very quickly, just like teleporting almost. And it was going from left to right, up, down, and just doing all this stuff while I'm just staring at it. And what I feel like is, like 2-3 minutes, it was 2 or 3 light cycles. So I let the green light, the red light, my traffic light just go, because there's still not a single car. Again, I'm alone, and I had something in my head made me think that's why I was experiencing this, because I was on my own and I saw it and I was able to communicate with it. And then it just started to do like circles. And again, at this point, I'm pretty much blown away. I'm not thinking to pull out my phone or to record anything, because I just wanted to soak it in because of obvious reasons. I had no idea what I was witnessing.
And
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What do you think
Yeah.
it was, just for clarity?
Well, I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I do believe it was a UFO. I don't know if it was man-made or if it was alien, but the way it was moving, I would say it was alien, because it was using teleportation or super fast traveling that made it look like it was just appearing left and right. Like, it was bizarre.
So let me ask you this.
But again, I don't know.
Why jump to it being aliens? Like, why not stop it saying, hey, it's a UFO, it's an unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
It could be, just a government plane, vehicle,
Right.
or
Mm-hmm.
something from the military. Why jump and say it's aliens?
It was one of those things. I mean, I believe in the telepathy power. I don't necessarily believe humans have it yet. I don't know if we have the technology to pick that up, but if we do, that's something we won't be told about. At this point, my second part to the story is really the reason why I believe it was alien. But again, it could just be my mind that created this part of the experience. So
before real quick, Josh,
basically, yeah, go ahead.
Before we go on to the second part, because I think that might be really interesting to hear and kind of go back and forth on a little. But just again for clarification for myself, at no point in this experience up till now, what you've told us, there wasn't a ship or anything. It was just a faraway light, is what it sounded like to me. Is that an accurate description of what you've seen and told us about thus far in the story?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
so far in the story, there's really nothing more, and that's kind of where I'm at. Unfortunately, with the UFO sighting, with the light, there's no way to confirm that this was alien. But
Sure.
what happened last is basically another part of it that kind of correlates and makes me think again that it's alien. But
Yeah.
so after it was doing its flight patterns, after it showed me around, and after I let the light cycle, the traffic light cycle a couple of times,
Right.
in my head, I said, as soon as this traffic light turns green, I have to go. So again, just giving it a heads up, like as soon as this light turns, I can't keep staring. So when I did this, the traffic light went from red to green, and that green dot that was just, floating in the sky at this point turned into a solid green line and then disappeared. And, the first thing I thought of was Star Wars going into, when they go into, what is it called?
Warp speed? Or no, that's Star Trek.
Warp
Hyperdrive.
speed, yeah. Hyperdrive. You know what I'm saying? Though?
yes.
Like
Ludicrous
all the
speed.
stars turn into lines, and then yeah. So that's the first thing that came to mind, and I'm like staring, going, "Okay, it's gone. What happened? Where'd it go?" But turned into probably a 3-inch long line in my vision. So if it's 800 feet away, who knows how long of a distance that actually was.
Sure.
And
but
how
yeah, I
long
mean,
did this
again,
entire experience last?
less than 5 minutes. I mean, it was probably 2 to 3 minutes of me just staring at the green light, and then maybe 2 minutes of it doing its. Like I sat there and I stared at it for a good minute and a half, just wondering what it was.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay, it's either a drone or it's a UFO. Let's test it. And I just simply asked it a question. And as soon as I did that, it started to move. Coincidence? Sure, it could have been. But again, the drone kind of got taken out of the question because it wasn't moving like a drone. It was doing some things that it was incredible. But just extremely deep circles, just going, I don't know how far up in the sky, but it was doing a show for me. So
Josh, have you had an experience like this since then? Or is this the only time you've had an experience like this?
This is the only true experience that I have that I can 100% vouch for. But
okay.
like when it comes down to it, this was something that, I mean, it is seriously rocked me to my core. Like I have questioned my entire life because of this.
And just for sake of clarity, was there any lack of sleep or any chemical substances involved, or did you have a clear head and good night's sleep at the time?
100% sober. I was working at a department store all day for like 8 hours, and then got off at midnight. So I was, just driving home. So this happened right at the end of the night, and I mean, this is, again, part one is just a basic UFO sighting, but what I experienced later that night, most people just think, oh, it was just a dream. And I'm like, okay.
Do you think you
I
could
don't want to
like
spoil it,
summarize
but go
part
ahead.
2 as best as possible?
So I woke up with sleep paralysis, unable to move except my neck slightly and my eyes slightly, so I could barely look around the room. I realized that there was a abnormality in my bedroom, and when I realized that, my entire environment changed. Then I basically was observed without really knowing who was observing me. And then as I was, obviously awake and conscious of what I was witnessing, they showed their faces to me, and I woke up frantically, falling out of my bed, screaming at 3 a.m.
And you said you don't think that was sleep paralysis, Josh, or you're saying it felt very similar to sleep paralysis?
I've spoken to people who have experienced sleep paralysis. I don't know exactly if everybody has experienced it or, like this or not, but a lot of people said they weren't able to open their eyes during it. And I don't know if that's true for everybody, so I'm not going to say that's fact, but I was able to keep my eyes open, and I was 100% awake I couldn't tell what time, but it was definitely weird.
My understanding, as somebody that is in no way, shape, or form an expert or qualified to tell you exactly what sleep paralysis is. So please go.
Right. I know. I wish we had brain bugs.
Yeah. There's so many other cool people that we know that are, but my understanding is that it is essentially this space in between being asleep, pretty hardcore, where one of the things that the body does is it kind of immobilizes itself. But the other half of sleep paralysis is that you are awake and able to open your eyes and kind of look around and see stuff. And I've even had friends of mine that I know that have had these experiences, even repeated ones where they've had sleep paralysis multiple times in their life, where they can even like wiggle a big toe or kind of like shimmy their left elbow. So it is this kind of half able to do stuff, half not. But one of the biggest things that seems to be a thread across all of the experiences is essentially the exact feelings and scenes that you were describing. Very odd and maybe creepy figures standing over people, watching, looking, a general sense of eeriness and uncomfortability and so forth. And I guess what I'm wondering is, do you think that what that experience was related to the experience that you had earlier? Do you think those two were connected?
So, I mean, here's the crazy thing, and I mean, it's been 5 years, and I was once considered a lucid dreamer, so I could control my dreams.
Sure.
I always wished I could do that.
Myself. It was amazing, to be honest, but I haven't done that in about 8 years. Well, okay, not 8 years, about 6.5 years. I stopped in college, and at this point, I was about 24 when this happened, and I had my dreams every once in a while and everything, but this experience, I have not had a dream since. At least one that I'm able to consciously remember. And I know that may not sound that weird, but it's like, for me, it was it's the one thing that's keeping me confused about this, because
Sure.
I used to dream all the time, and they were, exciting. They weren't scary dreams or anything. They were very good experiences. And after this one, I mean, it's really hard for me to understand exactly what happened, because I was stood over by a being that was, I mean, I would describe him as a elf from Lord of the Rings with like the long blonde hair. He had hair down to his like hips, and these eyes. He was just this pale white dude, but he looked basically human. And I mean, there was a little bit of a blue hue to his skin, and he just stood over me, and I couldn't control myself. I had to stare right into his eyes as if I was being hypnotized. And like, again, this is a dream, and everybody I've told, they're like, yeah, you just had a dream. And I'm like, okay, sure. But there's something about this that makes me think it was more, because I just simply do not have that ability anymore. I haven't had a dream for 5 years. It's bizarre.
Interesting.
That is actually fascinating that you haven't had a dream since then. We do have to wrap this call in a moment. I have one last question. Are you open to the possibility that this could have been, for instance, like a hallucination, or quite possibly, if it was indeed not a hallucination, that there is a naturalistic explanation, such as like a government ship or a military vehicle?
I mean, there's been a lot of speculation myself, even lately. I've just been thinking about a lot of historical evidence that would, give me some kind of backing. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you. I don't think that it's government, but who knows? The sighting easily could have been government, could have been a man-made ship.
Okay.
We don't know what kind of technology we have, but the dream, the experience afterwards, where I woke up right at the end of witching hour and I fell out of my bed weird, like 90-degree angle weird. Like it was like I fell into my bed and then off the bed. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think that experience was just a dream. But a lot of people will, always say that. So.
SR, did you have any last questions?
The only question I have is, Josh, would you be interested in maybe hanging out with us again another Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Time, and just calling back with, whoever happens to be the host, and just telling us some more and maybe walking through it a little bit more?
So we have another host that would probably be able to expand on the sleep paralysis a bit more, and is more qualified to talk on that subject.
I would love to know that too, because the thing is, it's like I was able to move my neck slightly, so obviously that matches with what you described. But seeing the beings over me and being able to articulate, even narrow them down to 2 specific races, like I pretty much verified that it was either a Palladian or a Nordic, and it's just if you know anything about those, they're usually peaceful. But
Josh, you're gonna have to call back. I know we've got some hosts that know all about different species of aliens and stuff, and can really, really dig into that. So,
well, Josh, I appreciate you sharing your experience with us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you both. Have a wonderful night, guys.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yep. Bye-bye.
I always get excited over alien calls. Well, I get excited over most calls, but alien ones get me really excited.
I really would love for aliens to be real. Aliens and ghosts would be super, super, super cool.
But in all seriousness, if alien life, if aliens are indeed real and they are a superior species to us,
they'd kill us.
What if they treat us the way we treat animals, or look at us the way like
we have
animals? Like, that's scary.
We do have, logically, philosophically speaking, a good reason to say it's definitely on the table that they would just wipe us all out. So it is
take our planet, and these species are insignificant. They contribute nothing. Let's let's get rid of them.
Yeah, if you're not familiar with some of the terrible things in our past on this earth, knowing full and well, humans are real and a thing, Yeah, if aliens came to us, but it would be cool if they were nice and they like came down and they had like really cool alien snacks or something, or some like really cool. They've probably got cool sports. Like, there's probably cool alien
So
sports.
I bet they do. Before we get to our next call, where are you on this scale? Like, are you more yes, they probably do exist? Are you, I'm not sure? No, because me, I think yes, they probably exist, but no, I will not say they do exist because I don't have evidence to support that. Where
So
are you at?
I feel really good about saying aliens currently are not coming to Earth. They are currently not communicating with anybody on Earth in any way, shape, or form. They've never been to Earth, most likely. There almost certainly is other life in the entire thing that is even our presentation of the universe. Almost certainly that is true. Advanced enough civilizations to our very meager level that we have been able to etch out finally after 250,000 of years of existence, like that's a lot less likely.
Right.
But still, I'd still probably give it maybe like a 7 out of 10 that there's enough of that going on somewhere, but still unable to really communicate with us or anything. So yeah, I feel really, I mean, when you couch it like that, then it's like, yeah, I guess I believe
Right.
aliens are real, but yeah.
All right, so we got a few calls on hold. We have one that went to, had a paranormal ghost experience. The caller we screened. We have another one. I've never had a call like this before, so this could be interesting. Discovered a magnetic Guatemalan guy who would set off security alarms and metal objects.
Ooh.
We've got a theist caller. And then on the day of his mother's funeral, he saw her in a dream in his bedroom. Which call would you like to take next?
I kind of want the magnetic person. Sounds really
Right, that
cool. That
sounds so
sounds really
exciting.
cool.
All right, everyone
Yeah.
else who's on hold, please, we will get to you.
Mhm.
Don't go anywhere. Next, we're going to bring up Ryan from Virginia. Ryan, you're on with Ethan and Secular Rarity. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. So it sounds like you've got quite a story for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a huge fan of both of you. Ethan, I'm glad you're hosting again.
Oh, well, thank you.
So about 20 years ago, I was working at a horse farm, and some Guatemalan guys came to work for us. And it's kind of a long story of how they ended up being basically homeless. But I would take them to Walmart to go grocery shopping. And the older guy, who was in his 50s, he would set off the alarm when he would leave Walmart. So, of course, the first time he did that, I was like, dude, do you have anything on you? Are you, did you steal something?
Right.
But he was like, no, I didn't, I was like, okay. So it was a weird fluke, right? And I was like, whatever. And next time, same thing happened. Set off the alarm. And I was thinking, it became kind of a normal thing. But then I started thinking about it and was like, well, what sets off those alarms? And there's magnetic strips in the security tags that they put on stuff, right?
Right.
So I started taking metal objects and I would put them on him and like myself, and I could feel like them being drawn to him, right? So like he's not putting it on himself and then saying, look, it's sticking. Like I could feel the attraction. So that freaked the shit out of me.
It freaked me out too.
Yeah. So, and I'm a skeptic now. Back then, I was in my 20s. I was pretty naive. I didn't know anything, right? But, I told him, I said, this is really weird. We should look at, something, do something or look into it. And he's like, no, don't tell anybody. So they were illegal from Guatemala. the town is San Luis Juletepeque, in case anybody wants to know. But there was another story that they told me as well that was.
Well, hang on just a second, Ryan. There's quite a lot there that I think already would be really, really cool to look into.
Right.
So you said you were taking magnets and putting them close to him, and the magnets would
not
stick to him. You were taking metal objects.
Like what
Just
type of metal objects?
Yeah. Like, so I worked on a horse farm, and you know what a clipper blade is that you put on a pair of clippers?
Yeah.
It's like kind of a heavy metal thing, like heavy, not
Okay.
like a little tiny thing. And
Okay.
that would literally stick to his skin, like not
Where?
not upside down, holding on to him, but enough past vertical, I guess.
Where,
See that he was attracting the metal, you know.
Ryan? Where on
Like
his body was it attracted to him?
On his arms, well, you know, anywhere that was not.
And did he have?
Personal,
Did
I
he?
guess.
Like, did you talk to him about this? Had this been happening his whole life? Was this new to him? Was he surprised by it?
No,
Like,
because he was surprised by it, but he was scared of it too. So he was a lot of Native American blood, and he still spoke his old language from Guatemala. Pocomong was the native language, and so he was very superstitious about this stuff. And as soon as every time I tried to talk to him about it, or his kids about it, he was like, they were like, no, don't talk about it. So, you know, I unfortunately, that's like the extent of the information. I wish I could go find him and like.
I was just going to say that. Like, I wish you could find this individual so we could do a whole bunch of tests to see what's going on.
Very cool. Yeah.
Exactly. I know.
So what do you think it could be, Ryan? Do you think somebody did a magic spell and now he's kind of magnetic? Do you think he was born with some crazy awesome superpower gene type thing? Do you think, I mean, where do you come down on it? What do you think was causing that?
No, so the only other information I have to go off of is that they told me a story once about a light in the mountains, and that the light would lead them to the treasure of the ancients, but it drove most people insane. And so I'm thinking that the only kind of connection I can make is that nuclear waste, radiation, something, you know, exposure to something.
That sounds like something out of a superhero comic.
It does.
Yeah, some crazy. Yeah, of course. Yeah, right. He was bitten by a spider.
Well, I don't think any amount of radiation would make somebody magnetic. Granted, I'm not a scientist, so maybe I
was
shouldn't
going
be
to say.
But I don't think there's any correlation between the two.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with saying I don't know. I have no.
That's good. That's honest.
Yeah. Have you ever heard a detailed account of how it seems to be the case that some of these birds know which freaking way to fly in the air, seemingly just from birth? Have you ever heard about some of the tiny little, you know, sort of kind of magnetic-y things in them? It's not really magnets, but it's like these tiny little bits inside certain birds' beaks that, because the earth is so freaking big, it makes this really, really large magnetic field that they can kind of tap into. Have you ever heard something like that before?
I have, yeah. I think I just read an article about the bird brains being able to figure out north, south, and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying this guy was something like that, some awesome chimera or something. Yeah. No, I don't know. But I think, you know, one thing I'm really interested in is I would love I would have loved if you would have like really hardcore tested the magnetism a bit more. Like have him lay on like a table and put his hand out and like kind of throw something metal towards him, because magnetism is strong. It's a lot stronger of a force than it feels, but it actually, magnetism can defy gravity all the time, right? You can take a magnet and get it over a paper clip and it'll jump a foot in the air depending on how strong that magnet is. But I think either way, I think it's one of those things that does kind of leave you with just having to say we don't know exactly. And if that's where we are, we can't then take another step and say, oh well, it's got to be this, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, of course.
Yeah. And I don't think I wasn't saying that you were doing that. It's just kind of the thing we do on here, reminding everybody to be skeptical and so forth. So, but
no, and if you're only given, it's like when you're given so much information, that's all the information you're given.
True.
And a lot of people, they try and say, well, that's all the information there is, so I'm going to draw a conclusion off of it. And most of the time, that's not the case, right? Most of the time, there's other information that is being left out.
Right.
But I don't know what it is. I don't know what that information is. So,
well, without further testing, I don't know that there's much we can go off of, or any conclusions we can draw. But that's definitely
I mostly wanted to call in just in case, maybe somebody else has had something similar. I don't know.
Right. If anyone does have something similar, please, reach out and let us know. And Ryan, we thank you so much for calling today.
Thank you, Ethan, SR. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, all right, Ryan. Have a good one.
Keep on being skeptical, guys.
Hey, same to you.
Thanks.
Right.
I'm not convinced that I'm skeptical, Ethan. Should I be?
I want magnetic superpowers. Like, it's always in the comics, someone gets exposed to radiation, something happens. Like, I want that to happen.
It doesn't. I feel really confident about what you said.
To radiation and you die. It's not.
You're
like
right. You don't get cool special powers. No. Please, nobody out there go try that. I would love, again, another thing I would love if like superhero comic stuff was real. Like, I mean, I'd even just take Batman. That'd be, and I say that, and hang on, I know somebody's probably going to hear that and go like, whoa, what's wrong with Batman? No, Batman's great, but Batman's not like an alien like Superman is. He doesn't have like the ability to run as fast as like the Flash or something, like I want those type of,
dude,
I would Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk. Seeing that in real life would be amazing.
Speaking of which, off topic, before we get to our next caller, have you seen the new Morbius movie?
No, I didn't know it was out.
It's not as bad as critics say, but it's really, nothing special. Is it worth seeing? Yes. Is it worth spending, $12 at a movie theater? I'll let you decide. I'm not like, I'm glad I saw it, but I wouldn't see it again in the theater. That's for sure.
You're skeptical on that claim.
Yeah. So, don't go see it and be like, well, Ethan told me to see this. I don't necessarily want you to spend your hard-earned money seeing it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that you think I work hard to earn my money. That's great, man. That was a big compliment.
You know what? I don't even know what you do. Can you say what you do or no?
I keep it pretty vague on purpose, but I work at a retail store.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I work in IT. All right, we got a couple super chats. One from Cynthia McDonald. Thank you, Cynthia. Secular Rarity was trying to use a golden child test to test for magnetic personality. And then I Got Cookies says for the awesome call screeners. Just gave that to herself, so thank you.
Are we getting raises? Is that what's
going on?
No, we'll talk after.
We do have two more callers. One has been chatting in the queue. Is a theist and wants to know if it's possible to determine whether Christianity is true. Jerry, you are on with Secular Rarity and Ethan. How are you?
How you guys doing?
Good. Yourself?
Good.
Thank you for the hospitality. So I'm a Christian, and I've been proposing or presenting my infallible argument, which proves that Jesus is sovereign over all nations. So I don't know if you're already familiar with my argument. I'm going to propose it right now and stipulate it right now and see how you guys respond to it.
Okay.
How do you feel?
That sounds
Thank you
good.
very much. All right, perfect. So it's based on two infallible propositions. Number one, the Hebrews say that their God is the author of the 7-day cycle. And proposition number two, the Hebrews say that their God predicted or prophesied the universal application of the 7-day cycle as a demonstration of his power over all nations. We can verify that 2,000 years ago, only one nation kept the 7-day cycle. And Jesus reaffirmed this prophecy in Isaiah 66:23, where he said he is Lord of the Sabbath, and wherever there's a 7-day cycle, there is the sphere of his influence. So we see the domino effect from 2,000 years ago all the way to the USSR in the 1940s, which was submitted to a 7-day cycle. Therefore, by that, Jesus has submitted all nations to his will, but to the power of his word. So do you have an argument against that? Because this is a demonstration of his power over our reality.
Just so that we're all clear, you're saying that 2,000 years ago, the only civilization that kept a 7-day calendar were the Hebrews, and that because they make the exclusive, the 7-day calendar.
Exactly.
2,000 years ago is what you're saying.
Exclusively, yes. It was the
okay.
Hebrews or Israel was keeping.
Yeah, I just wanted to be clear. Cycle. And you're saying that.
Okay.
You're saying that they make the exclusive claim to it. So if it were possible to find a civilization that had that calendar before 2,000 years ago, what would you say to that?
I think you're, first of all, you're not understanding my point. I'm going to repeat. The first proposition is authorship. There's nobody else who makes claims to the 7-day cycle before the Hebrews. That's number one. Number two is the prediction, the predictive part of the argument, which demonstrates power over our reality. So that's where the 2,000 years ago comes, because Jesus Christ reaffirmed the 7-day cycle, which predates 2,000 years ago, but only one nation had that civic calendar 2,000 years ago. And we saw the domino effect from 2,000 years ago all the way to the USSR.
So if we could find a calendar that was kept by a civilization before 2,000 years ago, what would you say to that? Would you say that refutes what you're saying?
What it would do, it would put a big obstacle to my argument, but it's not sufficient. Why? For the simple fact that even if we'll say, which is not the case, I'll be waiting for your evidence, but if that was the case, it still doesn't change the fact that God predicted its universal application, because every nation kept a different cycle for the veneration of their God.
But it sounds like the exclusivity of your claim is actually the most important part, not the universality, but the fact that you're saying the only way we could be under a 7-day calendar is if Yahweh is correct, considering he's the only one that ever said you will be submitted to a 7-day calendar, right?
Okay, so this is what I'm going to finalize with this, and please present your evidence. Number one, the most important part of my argument is the predictive part, because it shows power over our reality, telling the future in a universal way. So that's the most important. But if you have evidence of any nation that kept the 7-day cycle before the Hebrews, please, I will become an atheist.
Okay, so I'm not a historian, so I can't tell you whether another civilization had a 7-day cycle or not.
Oh, I know.
But I have to say, this is by far
tell me.
No, let me finish. This is by far the weakest evidence I've ever heard submitted for a God. A 7-day cycle is not proof of a God. You got to do it a little bit better than that.
But the Babylonians,
astronomical claim.
The Babylonians did. King Sargon I of Akkad ruled in. 2335 to
Hang on, let him finish.
2279. Yeah. King Sargon the First of Akkad ruled from 2335 to 2279 BC. That's over 2,000 years ago. So that's just one example off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm gonna refute that in a second. But before I do, no, let me refute that real quick, and then I think it's Ethan that was speaking, saying it was a weak argument. I would like you to tell me which part of my argument, because it's easily stated but harder to demonstrate. You got to tell me which part, why it would necessitate my argumentation would necessitate it being weak. You know, you have to explain which part of it is actually weak. Is the fact that he can predict the universal application of the 7-day cycle, which has an impact on our reality. I don't see anything weak about that. But as far as the Babylonian claim, I don't know what you're reading, but I give you the source from the primary Babylonian.
Copeland, 1939.
Who, the Sumerians?
Can I give you my source? Can I give you my source? Because I'm going to give you a source. I'm going to give you the quotation from the source, and I'm going to tell you exactly where to go. Enuma Elish tablets, the 5th tablet, shows it's a lunar cycle.
Sorry, repeat that one more time. The what tablets?
The
Enuma Elish.
The Enuma Elish tablets, the 5th tablet, from 10 verses 10 to 31. It speaks of a lunar cycle, which and a lunar cycle is 29.5 days, which does not divide into 7. That's why the last week would end in 8 or 9 days, which is not a recurrent 7-day cycle. So your evidence is flawed. You have to come with something better.
Okay, you're not talking about the thing that I was talking about, but
you're talking Babylonian. If you're talking about the only calendar that we have is
I said King Sargon the First of Akkad, 2335 to 2279 BC.
No,
King
I did.
Sargon the First of Akkad. Copeland, 1939, wrote a book on this. And there are other books as well in other civilizations. But you already said that even if we proved this, despite your claim to become an atheist on the spot, you already said that this wouldn't refute your argument, that it would only provide an obstacle.
Okay, let's not divert. I gave you the primary source, Babylonian source, the Enuma tablets, which has the calendar in it. Anybody could verify this. The 5th tablet, verses 10 to 31. I don't know what you're talking about. Can you quote what King Sargon said about a 7-day cycle? Quote it, please.
Do you
quote?
Are you interested? Are you interested in looking up the information, because the book has been published since 1939?
Can you quote the part that says 7-day cycle, please? A recurrent, and remember, a cycle is recurrent. Can you quote the part that says 7-day recurrent week? Because no scholar agrees with you. So can you give me one example?
Anthony R. Micheal claims that, quote, the first great empire builder, King Sargon of Akkad, ruled 2335 to 2279, middle chronology, decreed a 7-day week in his empire. He lived for 56 years, established the first Semitic dynasty, and defeated the Sumerian city-states. Thus, the Akkadian language spread. It was adopted by the Babylonians, ...
What are you quoting Wikipedia?
I'm quoting Anthony Micheal. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right.
Why are you quoting me? Why are you quoting this? Why are you quoting me a so-called scholar when I'm giving you the primary source? Are you telling me a lunar cycle is? Do
you read the language that's on the Enuma Elish yourself?
I'm sorry.
Do you translate that personally? Do you translate that personally?
Many scholars. Show me a
translation. So you don't read it personally. So you have to go to other people that are doing that, like an Assyriologist or other ancient Near East. I mean, I feel like we've done this.
This guy's not listening, and he's kind of pompous too.
Yeah. He's called it a bunch of places, and he does the same shtick. And then every time somebody has something to say, he moves the goalpost like he did live on air. So.
All right. So how, again, let me get back to my question. How in any way does a civilization having a 7-day cycle prove a god?
Okay.
Walk me through how these two connect.
Okay, I'm gonna do that real quick. Before I do that, just give me 5 seconds. Anybody can go verify the 5th tablet of the Enuma Elish, which was translated. If he's saying the translation I'm giving is wrong, please produce your evidence. You could get a PDF of this. everybody knows they kept a lunar cycle. But secular Rarity always trying to divert. But not to respond to you, Ethan.
After the divergence.
I'm sorry.
No, please, don't go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. They can verify the information. Thank you very much, Ethan. As far as your objection is, do you understand the predictive part? The second part of my argumentation is the one that demonstrates power over your reality. Explain to me how someone can predict something in a universal way, going against every cultural, religious practices of every nation, and all of a sudden they all submit themselves to a 7-day cycle as God predicted, a Hebraic.
How do you know God predicted it?
Yeah.
Because it's written in Isaiah 66:23.
So because somebody says God told me, you believe God told them.
Okay, so you're submitted to Hebrews then. No problem. I'm a Hebrew, so you're submitted to me.
What?
Oh,
well,
no.
If you're saying it's not from God, you're saying it's from men. Something that's exclusive. Nobody else can do. Nobody has submitted the world to their will. So you're saying this book was written by men, and they did something exclusive. They say they refer to God. You're saying it's not from God, but they were able, therefore, to submit the whole nations to a 7-day cycle. So you're submitted to Hebrews. It's either you're submitted to God or you're submitted to Hebrews. Which one?
I'm not submitting to anyone. I'm just simply saying
that. You're 7-day cycle. You're keeping a 7-day cycle. That's your submission right
so
there.
a civilization came up with a 7-day cycle. How is that proof of God? Answer the question.
I'm talking about the predictive part. I didn't say a 7-day cycle is the proof. I said the prediction of the universal application of the 7-day cycle. That's the proof. That's what you need. The predictive part.
How is that proof? Saying that, okay, knowing that we're going off a 7-day cycle and saying that other civilizations are going to use that, how is that in any way proof of a God? That just seems like somebody really smart put it together and the rest of the world started to use it.
Wait. I just said it goes against every cultural, religious practices of that time. Give me a nation, I'll tell you what cycle they kept. According to Mr. Circular Rarity, the Babylon kept a 7-day cycle. No, they kept a lunar cycle, and every 7th day, they kept they worshiped on one of their gods, and on the last week, they kept an 8 or 9-day week to be in conjunction with the cycle of the moon.
Why do you think it is that of all the things that God could do?
Tell me why.
Why do you think out of all of the things that God could do to demonstrate our submission, why do you think what was chosen was a calendar?
Why not? Who are you to determine what the proof should be?
So you don't know. I
don't get your argument.
So you don't know is what you're saying? You're just saying you don't know. That's okay. It's just I think that's a really good place to be, is to recognize that you don't know why, out of all of the things that God could do, would do, should do, any of those things, why a calendar was the one that happened. I'm just wondering if you had any thoughts on that.
What I'm saying is your objection is unreasonable. Why would
it's not an objection,
matter?
It's a question.
What are you saying?
It's not an objection, it's a question. If you don't know, that's okay.
But the question is irrelevant. Whether he did it for this reason or that reason, it doesn't change the fact that you're submitted.
Do you have a favorite flavor of ice cream? Do you have a favorite flavor of ice cream?
Yes, vanilla. What's your point?
That was an irrelevant question. Why did you answer that and not my first one?
No, but your last one has nothing to do with my argumentation.
Neither did that one. Neither did the vanilla ice cream, but you still told us.
But I felt like answering that one.
Okay, so just you didn't feel like answering the first one. You didn't feel like answering the first one.
Okay, let me tell you why he did it. Because he wants the people to know, because he created in 6 days and he Sabbath on the 7th. So basically, he's shown that he is the God of creation. So that's the reason why he used the 7-day cycle, to show them.
Why that one over others? That was the question.
What was your question? Repeat.
Why the 7-day cycle over anything else that could have happened or been done by Yahweh? Why the 7-day cycle? Why do you think that is?
Why
I'm
did
just
he-
asking for your opinions, man.
Wait. Is your question did he use the 7-day cycle as the proof, or are you saying why did he create the earth in 6 days and he sabbathed on the 7th? Which one are you asking me right now? Because you seem like
Neither of those.
you're flip flopping between two questions.
Are you
Neither
not
of those.
listening?
I'm asking the same question every single time to demonstrate whether or not you are, as Ethan was just asking, listening. So let's try one final time, which is
Go ahead.
in your own brain, just your opinions, man. Why do you think, out of all of the potential signs to show humanity that we are submitted to Yahweh's will, why do you think the 7-day calendar is the one that happened, as opposed to anything else you could come up with?
Okay,
Same
perfect.
question.
Two reasons. Number one, to show that he is the God of creation, because he created in 6 days and he sabbathed on the 7th. And the second one, to show that he is God over the so-called gods of the nations, because every calendar was instituted for religious purposes. By removing their calendars, gods have shown that not only he's God over the nations, but he's God over the so-called gods of the earth. So he showed twofold how powerful he is over man and over the fallen angels. That's the reason why.
But God could
That's
have.
beautiful, isn't it?
God could have
Isn't that beautiful?
theoretically. No, I don't think so. God could have theoretically made every single language have the exact same pronunciation and spelling for a single word that we all use independently to call out to a higher power. Don't you think that would be a bit more substantial?
Yeah, when you become God, you do that, all right? But the fact still
Sure.
remains you're submitted to a 7-day cycle.
Sure.
I'm
All right, so
waiting
here's
for you
my
guys to
question.
argue against my argument.
Do you have anything more compelling?
Yeah.
Because right now you've presented an argument and I don't find it compelling.
Yeah.
Like you've not convinced me. So is there anything more you can offer me, juicier, that I would be like, wow, you know what?
Okay.
That is something I can sink my teeth into, and we could talk about, that might be the possibility of a God existing.
No problem. Me personally, I always serve the delicier. I'm here to serve. For me to serve you, to cater to you, I must understand from what angle you're coming from. I need you to explain to me, how is it that he predicted the universal submission of every nation to his will is not something that is appetizing to you? I need to know on what is the basis of your objection, because if I say everybody's gonna be submitted to my will because I'm their God and everybody is submitted, then I don't see what else you can argue. There's no room for you to maneuver away from this.
Ethan,
By the Babylonian claim, everybody can verify that information. Lunar cycle is 29.5 days. It doesn't divide by 4. That's why they had 8 or 9 days on the last week. Everybody can verify this. Enuma Elish tablets, 5th tablet, verses 10 to 31.
Okay, so is the question is the answer to my question?
Now, Ethan,
so is the answer to my question no?
For me to serve you.
I'm not asking you to serve me. I'm asking you to answer my question. Is the answer yes or no?
No. My answer to your question is I need to understand what angle you're coming from, because I need to understand why is the
45-degree
submission to his will not sufficient. I need to understand why.
There's no angle here.
It
It's
seems
just
like
a
you're
simple
trying to
question.
divert. You're trying to avoid.
No, I'm asking you a question, and I would just like the answer. I don't find your argument compelling.
Right.
So what that we all use a
It's based on
7-day
what?
cycle? That is not proof of God.
Yeah.
Is that a subjective opinion, or is it based
That
on
is
reasoning?
my subjective opinion, yes.
Okay, so it's not based on reasoning. So
It
thank you again for demonstrating my case that there's no such thing as a reasonable atheist. Because I met a lot of atheists. Matt
Boom. Y'all hear that? Atheism destroyed. Pack it up, folks. Let's go home. No more skepticism. No more church of Satan. Done.
I'm now convinced. You're right. I'm completely unreasonable. You have convinced me God exists.
You rock.
I know, but
doing the Lord's work.
One thing's for sure, and two things for certain. You have not presented a valid argument against it. You
Not
tried.
at all.
Your friend tried with the false Babylonian claim. And you just said, "Oh, it's not."
I think it was Akkadian, but Babylonian, Akkadian, neither of us.
The reasoning behind your
Okay,
objection.
I'm gonna mute
behind
you.
your objection.
You haven't presented anything compelling.
Yeah.
I don't have to refute it. It's not convincing to
Yeah.
me. And simply asserting that because this civilization had a 7-day cycle and everyone else, quote, submitted to said 7-day cycle is somehow proof of God. It's just not. That's not reasonable. And I wish you had something more compelling than that, but it doesn't sound like you do. So I appreciate you taking the time out to call. You're welcome to call back anytime and have a wonderful evening.
I gotta say, Ethan, all this time being such a sinner and godless heathen that I am, if only I had ever looked at the calendar in front of me, proof right there. The trees weren't enough for me, man. I needed the calendar.
I feel like we're kind of being dicks. I feel like I'm kind of being a dick.
I was kind of being a dick at some point. I had to, because, I mean, you saw it. He said, we asked if we were able to find a civilization that was before the time that you claimed, would that refute the argument? And at one point earlier on, he said, no, it would just make it more difficult. And then right before we started responding, he said, if you can find me a civilization that had this calendar before, I will become an atheist live on stream, which is a weird way to like change beliefs, in my opinion. But
I agree. Like when he said that kind of set off red flags. Like, why? How would that change your opinion so easily? It's just this 7-day cycle obsession. I don't get it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, anyway, what just so we all know, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream, Ethan?
Ooh, it really depends on where it's from.
Yeah.
Like I don't like Overwise cookie dough is probably one of my favorites. Edie's salted caramel is pretty good.
Oh wow.
It kind of varies.
Just like, okay, what's like the favorite that you could have of any, just cross the board, does not matter whose ice cream or where the ice cream's from, you always love what?
Overwise cookie dough.
Cookie dough, okay.
Yeah.
I'm a Rocky Road fan.
Specifically Overwise.
Okay.
Butter pecan's pretty good as well. Pistachio is all right. One of my favorite things to do, and I do recommend this if you haven't tried it yet, is what I'll do is I'll get a bowl of vanilla ice cream and a bowl of peanut butter. And I'll just kind of like, I'll take a scoop of each, the peanut butter and vanilla ice cream in each bite, and it is so good. They go together so well.
That does sound really good, actually.
See, and now, dude, and this is why I feel like I was a dick to that guy, and I'm feeling like really guilty now.
We apologize if we were dicks to you. 7-day cycle. I forgot what his name was because he goes by lots of names. But look, we don't want to be jerks.
No.
I don't think either of us want to be that way. I will say that.
And I shouldn't have used an ad hominem and called him.
And I probably was. But I think seriously, what I would say is, if this was something that I really hung my hat on when I was somebody who believed in God, if this was something that I felt like actually really hardcore proved what I was claiming, I would not just rely on my word, bro. I would go to some of the very, 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 very smart, Assyriologists and ancient Near East scholars, and really dig into what they have to say and go find stuff. Because the Enuma Elish is a tablet that even me, as an idiot who doesn't know jack about jack, even I know what that tablet is called, because that's ground level, breaking right on the surface, man.
I wish we had Dr. Josh for this call.
Dr. Josh is
perfect.
And Megan too.
I get Dr. Josh on perspective.
They're freaking intelligent. They know a lot of stuff, and it's just things are a little bit more complicated than just like Hebrews, therefore God. Because again, just no.
Right, because all I took away from that call was The civilization predicted that the world would submit to a 7-day cycle, therefore God. And that's just that I'm not seeing the dots connecting there at all.
Yeah.
So it's not making sense to me.
And I'm not seeing the consistency when there are clearly other things that have been out for, like, I don't know, what year is it? Like, I don't know, they've been out for like 80 something years, where people have said, hey, look at all these other civilizations beforehand. The Babylonians were one, but again, the Akkadians with King Sargon the First is who I was talking about, but we never really got back. I'm doing it again. I'm starting up.
Oh, it's fine. We'll get to our next call in just a
That'll
second.
help.
I'd like to thank Ameet Mathew for the $10 super chat for a Morbius refund. Thank you for the Morbius refund. Appreciate it. Okay. We got a couple more calls. Let's get to Corey from South Carolina. Corey, you're on with Ethan and Secular Rarity. How you doing?
Doing good. How about you guys?
Doing well, thank you.
Good.
So what do you got for us today?
Basically, my dad got a bunch of ghost hunters to go to our house and actually search around looking for ghosts. And I got to be a part of it. And I just want to talk to y'all about the experience that I have and some of the history before that makes it so bizarre.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Share one of your experiences with us.
Okay. The house, it's in South Carolina, a bunch of war areas, and my aunt and my grandma, they were considered to be like witch people. They even said that when I was a young child, they were like witches or whatever. Don't believe it. But the town did or whatever. And so we got this little thing, quote unquote, saying that our house was haunted. Rumors spread around our school and everything like that, through the neighborhood. And eventually our house became haunted.
Nice.
They
Okay.
said some type of dead guy or something. And then we even believed it as kids. We even had this ghost called the Man that wandered around the house.
And was this what? When did your father and you go looking for ghosts? And what did y'all do for that? Set up cameras or?
Okay. Well, my dad got paid to allow some ghost adventures. Well, some ghost hunters or whatever people to come into our house and shoot some footage or whatever to try to prove some ghosts. They paid him like $2,000. The house was given to my dad, and we stayed in there, and that's how that occurred. I didn't believe it. I knew exactly all the bullshit. I never was scared of the house. Mm-hmm. It was just a fun little gag I always did at my house and to my friends. These people came around. We told them a little bit of the history and told about the Man. And would you know that was one of the EVPs that we got, the Man. Ironic.
So just for sake of clarity, do you believe in any of these, like you went on these ghost adventures? Do you think anything you saw was credible or evidence for anything paranormal or supernatural?
No, but I did get scared. And then there was a couple of things that literally, like this flashlight, like when they were talking and all of a sudden, every time they said something, the flashlight would flicker up and it would turn on out of nowhere. But it would only happen if they asked a question. Now, I've never seen nothing like that. So me coming and observing that, I was like, damn, there might be something here. Why
didn't you just because you know, you said you don't believe in this stuff. And you know, Ethan and I, again, as much as we think it's super duper cool, and we kind of would like to see some stuff like this, that neither of us really are in that boat. You know, where it seems like you know, a lot of the people that were there, you know, they actively believed in these things. When you saw that light going on and off, and you had that experience, why didn't you jump to ghosts? Why didn't you go to that and say, oh gosh, maybe it's gotta be, you know? What do you think stopped you?
Well, I did. I mean, we left the house. I was only there for like 3 or 4 hours, but I was the skeptical one. I was like, okay, my dad's just getting money from you guys. I told them outright that's what my dad was doing. And they still believed it. My dad told me to shut up, and we went to a hotel. But I was able to be there for a little bit. So one of the things I did was the flashlight, turn it on and it turned off. And then they also basically got this device that was like green checker dots around the room. And basically they were able to look for any figures that would be jumping up and down. And I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, okay, maybe this makes sense. Let's see what this thing does. But for some reason, my dog turned out to be a ghost. So that right there, it was
Sorry,
just
what was
another
that?
thing that I knew.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah.
Okay. It's
Just
the
that last
checkered,
part.
Yeah, your dog was a ghost?
Greens. Yeah. Okay. It's a checkered pattern, like green screen that you can hold in your hand, and there will be like a little figure that's shaped like a human being that will be turning their hand or whatever, waving at you, and that's supposed to be a ghost.
Okay.
My dog comes into a picture, and it picks up my dog on all fours as a person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm finally following on that part, but for a good second there, I think Ethan and I both were in the vein of like, dude, wait, what? Your dog is a ghost? How do you know this?
We both got totally freaked out. The look on both of our faces at the same time was like, did we just hear that correctly?
Oh, yeah, good. Okay.
So I want to jump back to something you did say, though. You said your dad you told these people your dad was just like conning them. Was this legit? Like your dad was a con artist and would do this to people and scam them for their money?
No, he just needed the money, and he has 7 kids. So any way to make money, you're going to do what you got to do. These people wanted to go and see it so badly. He knew of the rumors. It's just like a joke between the house. Even me as somebody who don't believe it, we can joke around with it. It's like, yeah, that's the man, because my door would automatically open up in the middle of the night. But I figure out that's just the pressure from the wind. If anybody opens the bathroom door, my door swings open. It's always happened, and it's always been the case. I can even shut it
draft in the house,
little
right?
bit by little bit, and the door will open up as much as I'm pushing the door in.
Yeah.
And the flashlight thing did scare me. When I did go to that investigation, I did not want to step back in the house, so I did started to believe it at that moment. I was like, okay, I just wasn't expecting to come out of here a believer. And then a couple weeks later, I tried to do my research and be like, okay, how can a flashlight do that? Turn out you can buy a certain flashlight, an old-timey flashlight, and it's like 2 feet, about 2 feet in length or about a foot in length. And if you twist the knob, every 2 minutes it will short out. So and you can cause the shortage to happen with the button in your hand.
Okay.
Sure. Now, when you said you walked out of the house and you were a believer, do you think in that moment you really felt like it was ghosts, or do you think in that moment you were hyped up from adrenaline and just kind of in a, I've had some freaky experiences where it's dark and it's off in the distance, or it's something right behind my ear that shouldn't be there, that type of stuff. And in the moment, it freaks the crap out of me. And I think, oh my God, ghost aliens. But then like, I don't actually believe that. It's just kind of a jump scare, do you think it was more of a jump scare? Do you think it was more of you actually believed in that moment and then kind of unworked that over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I was like, it was kind of bit of both. When it first happened, I was scared. I was ready to get the hell out of there. I was like, okay, let's just go to the hotel room. You guys have fun. Don't conjure no demons.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that either, but I was just like, just don't do it.
Well, Corey, I appreciate you taking the time to share all that with us today. I wish we had something to disagree on so we could talk about it, but we don't. But appreciate you taking the time to call in.
Yeah, still fun, man.
No problem. Had a good time talking to you.
Thanks, Corey, and thanks for waiting on hold, and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
I had a good time with the show.
Good. All right, have a good one.
You too.
Bye. Okay, so here's my question. If you're, maybe I should have kept him on the line for this. If you are doing something to make money, just to make money, isn't that still a scam?
So this is the being as charitable as possible, right? Like, let's imagine that at no point in time did I ever tell anybody that this is magic water, right? I never said that. But somebody else comes along and looks at this bottle of water and says, I've been told that it's magic. That bottle that you have, SR, I've been told that there's magic in that bottle. And I say, oh, well, I doubt it. I don't think magic is real. And they say, but I will give you $5 for a mere tablespoon of that magical water. Am I doing anything there? I don't know. I don't know, but I would still say that's wrong. But I don't know that I have an actual like structured argument as to the total problem there. Maybe just not trying hard enough to convince people of their false belief is false. You see what I'm saying though? Like if the people just showed up at his house one day and said, "Hey, we hunt ghosts. We heard your house is haunted," and his father said, "It is definitely not haunted. Ghosts are most likely not real," and they said, "But we'll give you $50 to walk around and film your stuff."
So I have a full confession right now.
Oh my
Have
gosh!
you ever heard of the Christian superhero Bible man?
I feel like I have a while ago when I was watching VeggieTale days a long time ago. So I may have.
Okay. So disclosure, I've said this before. I have the Bible man costume, but what I've never said is I actually used to go to downtown Naperville. It's a suburb of the Chicagoland area, dress up as Bible man and baptize people.
No way.
In fun. Like, I was not being serious, but I actually, like, people would give me money and I would just do this whole thing completely joking, not in any way serious, not trying to rip people off. Everyone involved knew it was a joke, but I would run around, pose, and act like I was a superhero.
Yeah. What exactly is the line on that? I know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sitting here thinking about that and I'm like, okay.
I think
now,
I think you're good on statute of limitations. You're probably okay on that. So any like, legal thing.
Full disclosure, everyone knew I was joking, but in the instance that maybe one or two people didn't, I guess it could be construed as wrong or a manipulation tactic. So it's not something I would do again.
And again, I think so one of the things that came to my mind when the last caller was talking to us, especially about how right at the beginning how the story of his haunted house kind of grew and grew and grew. So have you heard of Slender Man? Have you heard
Yes.
of this?
I
Okay.
want a Slender Man call.
So you know that was entirely created online a very short time ago. The whole mythology around that was specifically created for a contest. We have all of this documented really,
Okay,
really
I
well.
didn't know that.
Oh, it's fascinating. So the whole point was there was a contest for essentially creating a modern digital urban legend type thing. And so the person that won was the creation of Slender Man. Now, as years have passed, one of the things that people have done, either knowingly or unknowingly, is they have perpetuated this legend, and they've talked about it more and more. And a lot of people were just being silly and playful, and everybody in on the joke and stuff. But there were two 16 or 15-year-old girls who ended up stabbing one of their friends because of
Slender Man.
And so that it is. That's why I said earlier, like, I guess maybe technically there isn't anything that I have concrete right now to say, okay, that's wrong. But I feel like ultimately exactly where you came down, which is it is still kind of perpetuating the bad beliefs, right? Even if we all know we're joking and so forth, but that's hard then, right? Does that mean that we don't get to tell fairy tales anymore? We don't get to come up with cool stories about unicorns and I don't know what other mythical Loch Ness monster and stuff. Like, I love joking about the Loch Ness monster and Bigfoot and stuff, but does that make people do bad things?
Fairy tales like that always raises the question for me. And should Santa be a thing for children?
I know. That's a hard one.
Explore their imagination,
Yeah.
or do we just get like? Do we really want to start our child's life out by lying to them for like the first 5 to 9 years of their life, and then one day just be like, yeah, we lied. Santa's not real. Like, that just seems kind of shady. But then at the same time, I understand why people like want to allow their child to explore and enjoy their imagination. I'm so on the fence with it.
Well, have you ever heard? I've heard some people say that they used it they specifically talked with their kids about Santa and stuff because they used it as a way to really teach them about how to investigate claims. And they specifically used it, when they were a little bit older in life, when their kid was already kind of questioning. They kind of, went the route of, well, how would we figure that out? And the kid was like, well, Daddy, you and Mom always talk about it. And he's like, well, but, Daddy could be wrong, right? Like, Mommy could be incorrect. It's like, well, I guess so. But I don't know. Is there a better way that doesn't result with us being dishonest with somebody, with a child for it's tough.
If you're in the chat right now, I'm curious of your thoughts. I read mostly what everyone has to say when I can. Let us know what you think. Should children be taught, about Santa? If you're watching this after we're live, go to the comments section and let us know. I'm really curious what everyone thinks on this. Teaching their kids about Santa, or just ignoring the whole thing entirely, or how you're going to raise them. If there ever comes a day where I do have children, I don't know. But let me get to these super chats. Cynthia McDonald, thank you for the $5 super chat. You guys were nice. Keep it up. Meet Mathew, another $5 super chat. This super chat predicts that the world will submit to a 365-day calendar year. Oh, look, it's happened. I guess that makes me God. Boom. Done. He should have added a mic drop to the end of that. For those that don't know, Meet Mathew will actually be on the pickup line this Thursday at 9 p.m. Central. We'll be discussing, dating, cultural differences in dating, and arranged marriages.
Nice.
All right, ready to get to our last call?
Yeah, heck yeah.
I'm going to see if you know who this is. Well, I'll just say who it is. We got SDV in the house. What's up, SDV?
What up?
How you doing?
Hey, man.
Doing all right. I mean, this topic I brought, I mean, SR and I have been fighting about this for a while. We even have our own show about how much we fight over this issue. So I kind of want to see what Ethan thinks about it.
Okay, now keep in mind, I know it says like science versus philosophy. Full disclosure, I absolutely suck at philosophy, so I don't know if I'm going to be much help in this.
Join my side, Ethan. We're better. We're cooler. That's logically valid. But
No.
go ahead, Ben.
So the question is, like, for supernatural claims, and I think maybe I want to narrow it down a little bit because, of course, like for God, we can have this whole conversation about how they're both valid and that fine. I don't want to meet in the middle today. I want to have a war with SR. So for something, let's take a ghost call or an alien call. How would you approach it? Science or philosophy? You cannot choose both. If you had to choose one, what would you pick?
Science, of course. Why would I choose philosophy?
SR, I win.
I mean, okay, hang
Wait,
on.
SR, why would
hang
you
on.
choose philosophy to
Hang on.
investigate a
Hang
ghost?
on. Hang on. I'm not gonna attack Ben's character or anything, but he may be shifting the question a little bit. I think he specified.
I definitely am.
I think he specified aliens and ghosts. Aliens and ghosts, you totally go science. Totally science. I mean, 100% science on aliens and ghosts, but I mean, not God, for sure. Not consciousness, like because you always have an easy out on the God and consciousness. If you're accepting, something, that the three of us, none of us are really on that side of God and consciousness coming from, panpsychism, whatever, all that stuff. But they're always going to say, oh, well, science can't observe it. Like science can't tell us about God. And so you have to go philosophical, but ghosts and aliens is total science. I mean, I'm with you there, but you're still wrong on the other one.
I totally threw my bias into my question, and that was intentional.
That's okay. We still love you. You're still great, and you tell us a lot.
Stilette Lorraine in the comment section says science is philosophy. And I've actually heard, people argue that before, but I'm not knowledgeable enough on the matter.
I would disagree with that, and you can call in on a time when I'm going to be hosting because I want to push back on that point.
You'll be hosting next week, so Stilette Lorraine, if you feel like calling in next week, Ben will be on. He'll be on a little late. I'm starting the show, and then he's taking over. So at 7:30, anytime after that, call in to talk about it.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Ben, are you going to be in the after show?
Maybe for a couple minutes, but I'm going live in a little bit.
Oh,
I'm glad you said that real quick. I don't remember what was it? What cool channel is it at? Where are you? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm going to be on Tang at 10 p.m. Eastern time talking about LGBT issues, and it's a call-in show. So,
ooh.
Yeah.
Could you by chance put the link in the chat?
Oh, it'll get in that chat.
I don't think am I a mod? I don't know if I'm a mod. I don't know.
It'll be in the chat. Don't you worry.
Someone will put it in the chat.
Okay.
Appreciate it. All right. SDB, we'll see you in the after show. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. See you soon.
All right. Bye.
That dude rocks. He should host sometime. That dude rocks.
Yeah, he'll be hosting next week. Stilette Lorraine, thanks for the super chat. Hopefully I'll wake up on time and would love to do that. Thanks for all you guys do. I used to have this show booked like 3 weeks out. I got to get back to doing that. I took that break, and during that break, because I was really taking a break, I didn't use that time to start booking, and I need to do that now.
Yeah.
I do want to thank our top tier patrons. Crap, I don't have the list up. Give me one moment. Okay. Cindy Plaza, left, right, left. Ryan Hammond, Kenneth Leonard, Skye, Secular Rarity, Philip Leitch, Richard Gilliver, _Atheism, Ameet, Mathew, Ray Sylvester, and Gerudo San. Thank you so much for your patronage. We'll be back Thursday at 9 p.m. with Hannah Vaughn on the pickup line. And SR, what do you have coming up?
Do I have anything coming up? Oh, actually, I do. I am gonna be Sherlock Holmesing it up this Friday over on Atheist Edge. Actually, he does. I don't know if you know Atheist Edge. He's been around for a while. Chatted with a lot of cool people. He does. He does one thing where a bunch of people take pictures of like, you know, their house or their room or something, and we all try to kind of look at it and investigate the picture and kind of figure out, you know, who might it be based on the things that are there, you know. So
Okay.
That'll be really cool. I was looking to see if I had the time. I did not have the time, but I think it's like 6 p.m. Central. So over on Atheist Edge. But yeah, everybody out there, come hang out with Ethan and I in the after show, and then we'll all go bug Ben when he takes calls on Tang later.
Yeah, so it won't be a long after show because we definitely got to check out and support SDB. So thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of the week. Thanks, SR.
Thanks, man.